leaders, and welcome to the elementary section of our release training videos. We're really excited to have you as a part of our elementary team. Now, our elementary students range anywhere from kindergarten to 4th and 5th grade. That's a really big span in ages and in development as far as what they're learning and what their brains are doing. But overall, our win of our elementary classes is that our kids are learning about who Jesus is and what the whole entire connected story of the Bible is in God's plan for redemption for his people. Now, that's going to be our win. Eventually, we'd love for our kids to be fully prepared to move on to FSM at the end of 4th and 5th grade, but we're working towards that goal in incremental settings every single Sunday. So if you're a part of our kindergarten crowd, you're going to be doing some activities on Sunday, just like our preschoolers do. It's not because we think that our kindergarten students are on the exact same level as our preschoolers, but we know that those kindergartners have to get some wiggles out sometimes. And so we're gonna have a lesson prepared for you, as well as worship down in Kidslife Theater. And then you're also gonna come upstairs and do some activities as well, just to kind of help them stay engaged with our lesson. Now, our 4th and 5th graders, they have big brains and they're thinking through a lot of different things. And so their classes get a little bit more nitty-gritty as far as the details to our Bible story goes. So they get to come down and participate in our corporate worship with everybody, but then they're gonna come back up and really dive into the scripture together as a group, specifically with you, their leader. You're gonna be both their teacher as well as their small group facilitator on a Sunday. All of those lessons for both our kindergarten and our 4th and 5th grade students can be found on Planning Center. You're gonna find them on our one sheets that are there, along with all of the other one sheets for Kidslife for that Sunday. The younger kids will go through, so specifically kindergarten, will go through the same lesson as preschool. So don't be alarmed when you see the preschool lesson in your classroom. You are teaching kindergartners just with the preschool lesson in mind. Now for our older kiddos, you guys will have an OK Kids guide that you'll walk through on a Sunday. That'll be specifically for 4th and 5th grade, along with a younger kids guide or a YK guide for our kiddos who are in 1st, 2nd, and 3rd grade. Now, like I said, our win on a Sunday for kiddos who are in elementary is for them to really understand who Jesus is, as well as the united story of the Bible and the gospel and how the Lord is going to redeem his people. Now, the way that we can do that is through being super engaged and being on our kids' side every single Sunday. We want to be prepared from our one sheets that we find on Planning Center when we come into a classroom and ready to talk through those things with our kiddos and make sure that we can engage with them in scripture. Who knows, you might learn something too. For our 1st, 2nd, and 3rd grade students, you're going to be getting to know them from the very beginning when parents do drop off. You'll follow all of the procedures outlined in our safety video for your clipboard. You'll grab your walkie-talkie, you'll grab your clipboard, you'll be ready to go. During that time where there's a bit of a lull during drop-off, you're more than welcome to use our Kidslife games that are going to be located on the cork boards in your classrooms. Those sheets have 9 Kidslife approved games that you can feel free to use at any point on a Sunday morning that you need to engage your kiddos in a way that's creative and fun and enjoyable for them. And that gets them to engage with you well. Now, once everyone's been dropped off, we'll come downstairs to Kidslife Theater for our corporate worship session. For 1st, 2nd, and 3rd grade, and oftentimes kindergarten too, this is gonna be where our video happens for our kiddos. This is gonna include our lesson for the day. It's really gonna pull them in, and it's gonna appeal to that visual learner in so many of their brains and keep them engaged for the remainder of their lesson. Then we're gonna go ahead and excuse some of our students, our bigger kids and our littler kids, and our 1st and 2nd and 3rd graders are gonna have an actual service led by a large group teacher downstairs. You'll then be released by that person to return upstairs. You'll have a coloring page that's provided to you, as well as crayons, markers, any other supplies that you would need in your filing cabinet that's in your classroom. You'll go ahead and let the students color or play whatever game is on the back of their worksheet that's going to be there for you as well, while you're going through your small group lesson questions that are going to be located on your one sheet. It's usually about 5 to 6 questions that you're just going to really dig into them with and encourage them to think about, and you're going to get to think about that question alongside of them, which is really beneficial in my opinion to even my own walk with the Lord. I have grown so much, even just as a Kidslife leader, walking alongside my kids as they wrestle and learn about hard things that are in the Bible. We don't want to shy away from hard stories in scripture, but instead we really want to accomplish that win in Kidslife and show our kiddos how the entire story of the Bible is a unified story that leads us to Jesus and God's redemptive plan for all of his people. Now, if at any time during your class you need Dan or I or one of our interns' assistants, please feel free to use a walkie-talkie to get a hold of us. And don't forget the 3 R's that Dan covered in our culture segment of this video series. Now, if you do have a situation during your Sunday where you need more than just a Band-Aid for first aid, you will find your incident reports in a red folder in your cabinet as well. And you'll also want to make sure that you get a hold of Dan and I by walkie-talkie too. Anytime that happens and it's more than a cut or a scratch or a little bit of bruise, you're going to want to make sure you fill that incident report out, have a parent sign it, and leave it on your clipboard at the end of your Sunday serve time for Dan and I to pick up at the end. Now, everything that you need should be in your classroom, but we're people and we make mistakes. So if you need anything on a Sunday, please feel free to use your walkie-talkie to get a hold of us if you need anything at all. Thank you so much for serving. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to Dan and I, and we'd be happy to clarify anything for you or walk you through some of our tips and tricks with serving with elementary students.